Hi, my name is Jessica, and my husband and I are the proud owners of a new to us, a 1997 Coleman Cheyenne Tent trailer. Today I'm going to show you the process that I'm using to update our curtains, both the side walls, the exterior curtains, and the bunk end curtains, so that it just looks a little bit more up to date. Okay, so before I dive into this, I just wanted to ask you to give this video a thumbs up. If it's something you'd like to see more of, I'd be happy to do a video about recovering the cushions in our trailer, cleaning our trailer, painting the cabinets, and putting in the floor, which are all part of our plan. So give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to hear more about that. All right, now to get started. Once again, we have a late 1997, so late 90s, Coleman pop-up trailer. So I think that these techniques would work great on any Coleman trailer from that era especially, but I think they can be easily translated to pretty much any tent trailer. So what I found when I went to take off my curtains is that there were two types. There was this type, which is a solid piece all the way from the top to the bottom. That goes on the exterior walls, and then there's this type that goes over the bunk ends, and it has this big section. It's probably about 8 or 9 inches long of mesh that's at the top, and that's important because it helps your bunk ends, if you have the curtains pulled closed, deal with humidity so that you don't have moisture buildup in the bunk end while you're sleeping. So my curtains, as I mentioned, we were very lucky. Our tent trailer was in excellent condition. Just it's outdated, and it's showing the wear that you'd expect from over 20 years of use. So we were very lucky, and so because of that, I am choosing to just recover these curtains, which part of the reason I'm doing that is that it's going to allow me to keep this blackout fabric that's on the insides and not have to repurchase it, because that's actually pretty expensive. Now, so what I did to start is I went into the trailer and I removed all of the curtains and the valances. They have a hook, a bracket that's kind of like this. It's C-shaped, and it just goes on a track over each window and over the bunk ends. The curtains came off pretty easily with a screwdriver to just kind of pop that off the track. I'm hoping they go on pretty easily. Haven't tried that yet. These clips are interesting because they're affixed to the curtain. They're actually just stitched. I don't know if you can see that, but they're just stitched straight through. So when they did this finishing seam, they just had the brackets on the one side and stitched right through them. That makes me nervous on my sewing machine. So I have some thoughts on how I'm going to try and avoid actually stitching through those while still having use of them. So that's what we're starting with. The first step that I did is I'm going to start with the side panels, which is the solid piece, and I measured the seam on each side, and it's roughly 1 inch on mine on all 4 seams. So I am going to go ahead and measure my fabric from top to bottom and side to side and cut out a matching square that is additionally 4 inches longer and 4 inches wider, which will give me enough to fold the fabric over twice on each side and the top and bottom to have a nice finished edge for the edges of it, I guess. Nice finished edge. So I'm going to get started on that and be back to show you my progress and my trick that I'm trying out for the bracket end. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've cut my fabric out. Now I'm choosing to use this really inexpensive cotton fabric. I think it was $2.99 a yard, full price, that I got at Joann's. It's 45 inches wide, which is always actually closer to 44 inches. So my curtain measured 45 inches long by 42 inches wide, which meant I wasn't quite able to add a full 4 inches to the side measurement, but I think we can work with that. So how I'm going to start now is I'm going to go ahead and flip my top hem down 2 inches. You should be able to see there. So 2 inches. And then we're going to fold that in half again back on itself to get the inch across the top. Okay, so I have a 2-inch fold here at the top. And you can go ahead and put away your ruler now, because all you need to do then is fold that in half and press it down, and you get your inch hem. Okay, here we are at the sewing machine. What I'm going to do is I am just going to sew a straight line, and I'm using the edge of my presser foot as a guide against the edge, so that I'll have a pretty narrow seam allowance on that side. All right, now that I have my straight finished edge here, I went ahead and I used a pin to mark the center of that side. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use this product I found at Joann's called Easy Steam 2. And it's a fusible tape. And apparently it's sticky on both sides to start, so I'll be able to stick it down and then peel off the backing, stick down the curtain to it, and then use my iron to fuse the two together, so that I do not have to sew through those brackets. So okay, now that I have the tape along the edge, I used the stitched line as a guide to keep it straight. I'm going to go ahead and lay my curtain right side facing the back of this. And I did identify the center of my curtain so that I'd make sure to line them up, because you want an equal amount of excess on either side. So I'm going to remove my pin so it doesn't get stuck in there. And I'm just going to lay this right along. And I'm laying it just slightly under the top of the tan fabric, because I'd rather have a little extra of the tan on this side than a little bit of the green poking up on the other side. Although I will have a valance, so it probably won't be that big of a deal. But okay, now that I have the damp cloth, I'm going to gingerly press this. It says for about 10 to 20 seconds. And since this is a seam that might end up with quite a bit of stress on it, I'm not going to skimp, because I definitely want that to hold. Okay, now we're going to work on a side. So pick one of your sides and flip it up on your ironing board here. And once again, what you want to do is you want to make sure that where this is laying all the way down is the same length, or the same distance from the edge all the way down, because that is going to make sure that your fabric is straight all the way down, and that's actually looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it over like this, and press it to kind of cover up this edge. Mine is actually working out that it's basically the width of this folded over piece is what I've got left, which is fine on the sides, because the sides of these have what's called a selvage, which means that they're treated so that they will not fray. So if you don't have enough to be able to flip these over again, you don't have to worry about in time that they're going to fray. So that's great. Okay, so I've sewn down both sides, and here's the honest truth. I pulled on that tape seam a little bit more, and I just was not confident it was going to hold. So what I ended up doing is I went ahead and I did a really narrow stitch through both of them along the top, attempting, here I'll show you, attempting to avoid those brackets. It was not easy. I don't know. It's awfully close. Those brackets are awfully close to the edge. It's not my straightest seam. I don't love it, but I do know it's not going to accidentally pull apart when we're trying to pop up or down the trailer. And that's ultimately what's most important, and it will be hidden by the valance. So we're just going to go ahead and go with that. Now it's time to do the bottom. So both sides are sewn. The bottom is the last piece. You'll see we've ended with a nice amount of fabric here at the bottom, which is great. And you're going to do the same technique that you did before, which is that you're just going to fold this sucker over and then press along the edge. Now, one thing I'm noticing here is that this isn't quite straight, and probably what happened there is that the cut from Joann's wasn't straight. So when I tore the edge, I got it straight, but we weren't starting with straight to begin with. So this, I may have to trim back just a little bit, because what I'm going to do is then fold it under. So I'm just gonna narrow this up just a smidge over here on the widest part. And then what that allows me to do is I want to be able to fold this over so it's roughly the same width as the fabric underneath, and press it shut. Okay, so now we're going to get to work on our bunk end curtains, which have the mesh at the top. We're going to use a really similar principle, so I'm only going to show you how you affix it to the top part, because that's the only part that's a little different. Otherwise, once you have it affixed to this edge here, where the mesh attaches, you can just go ahead and do the exact same thing, lay it flat, fold the sides in, sew them, and then do the bottom. So for the top, what you're gonna do is you do not need a big seam for this. You do want a nice finished edge. So I'm gonna only fold mine over 1/2 inch for this, because it's actually really narrow on the curtain itself. So 1/2 inch should definitely conceal that raw edge, no problem. All right, so I have my curtain laid out. Here's the mesh, here's the top of the solid panel, and I'm going to take my new piece of fabric and lay it down on top, hiding that raw edge between the two fabrics. And I want it to go over the top, but just enough for a little bit peeking out. And then of course I also want to do the thing that I did before, where I try to get an equal amount of overhang on both sides, best you can. That's a little finicky. And then I'm going to pin it in place. So, okay, they're all done. Well, at least these two panels. I have several more to go. But here is what the mesh one looks like, all done. And the solid one, all done. Certainly better than the green color we had before. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I'd like to post some more tutorials about how we covered our cushions for our couch and our dinette, our gaucho bed and our dinette, and also how we paint our cabinets, maybe how we lay down our floor, and how we clean the canvas of our tent trailer. So if you think that's something you'd be interested in seeing, make sure you subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more trailer fun. Talk to you later. Bye.